Once upon a chilling autumn night in the small town of Harvest Hollow, nestled deep within the heart of rural America, a sinister tale of terror unfolded amidst the towering rows of cornfields. The townsfolk knew of the whispers, the stories of those who had ventured into the seemingly endless maze of cornstalks, never to return. But no one truly believed until that fateful night. It began with Sarah, a curious and adventurous soul, who had grown tired of her mundane life and yearned for excitement. She and her friends, Emma and Jake, decided to explore the cornfields under the cover of darkness. The moon hung low, casting eerie shadows across the land as the trio ventured further and further from the safety of Harvest Hollow. They entered the cornfield just beyond the outskirts of town, the dry husks rustling ominously in the breeze. The moonlight barely penetrated the dense maze of stalks, leaving them to stumble blindly through the labyrinth. The air was thick with a sense of unease as they forged ahead. The deeper they ventured, the more disoriented they became. The cornstalks seemed to shift and move, closing in on them. Their laughter turned to nervous laughter, and that, in turn, to dread. It wasn't long before they realized they were lost. As the night wore on, fear gripped them. Shadows darted in the corners of their vision, and eerie whispers echoed through the maze, as though the very fields were alive with malevolence. Sarah's heart raced, but her friend's unease was palpable. Hours passed, and exhaustion began to set in. They tried to retrace their steps, but the path they'd taken seemed to have vanished. Panic set in as they came to terms with the fact that they were utterly and irrevocably lost in the heart of the cornfield. They had no choice but to keep moving forward. It was then that they began to hear the ghostly cries, faint and haunting, like the voices of lost souls. Whispers of agony and despair emanated from the rows of corn. They quickened their pace, desperation and fear gnawing at their heels. Emma, her voice trembling, suggested they try to light their way with their cell phones. The weak, pale beams of light barely penetrated the oppressive darkness of the cornfield, revealing only a few steps ahead. It was then they saw something that would haunt their nightmares for years to come, a shadowy figure standing among the stalks, watching them. Paralyzed by fear, they watched as the figure drew closer, its movements unnatural and disjointed. It was as though it floated just above the ground. A low, guttural moan escaped its lips, and its eyes glowed with an unnatural, malevolent light. The trio turned and ran, but the cornfield seemed to stretch endlessly in every direction. The figure pursued them, its eerie presence growing closer with each passing moment. The cornfield itself seemed to conspire against them, its rows shifting and rearranging to block their path. As they ran, the ghostly cries grew louder, and the figure's presence became more oppressive. Sarah, Emma, and Jake were gripped by a sense of impending doom. They could see no way out, and their hearts pounded in their chests. Suddenly, they burst through the cornstalks into a small clearing, just as the figure was about to overtake them. Gasping for breath, they looked around and realized they were in the town's cemetery, the moonlight revealing rows of weathered tombstones. The figure hesitated at the edge of the clearing, its glowing eyes fixated on them. It hissed in frustration, then slowly retreated back into the cornfield. The trio never spoke of that night to anyone in Harvest Hollow, but they knew they had narrowly escaped something unspeakable. They had dared to enter the cornfield, and in doing so, they had glimpsed a world of terror that would forever haunt their dreams. The legend of the haunted cornfield of Harvest Hollow would persist, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are best left unexplored.